Today we'll be reviewing Barrell Bourbon. Let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome back to the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. My name is Scott. If you're new to this channel and you're looking for reviews of different whiskeys such as bourbons, ryes, American style whiskeys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also make sure to hit the bell notification. That will alert you to when I'm doing new uploads or live streams. So today from Barrell Craft Spirits, we've got the Barrell Bourbon. This is batch 23. This is coming in at 107.78 proof or 53.89% ABV. It is a cask strength bourbon. It is non-age stated. Mash bill is undisclosed. But what this is this is a blend. So Barrell is known for crafting their blends. They always do a really nice job of crafting these different blends, coming up with different things. This specifically for batch 23 are blends of 10, 12, and 15-year-old bourbons sourced from both Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana. MSRP on this is going to be right around that $90, upwards of $130. So a little bit more of a pricier bourbon, but let's check it out and kind of see what we're up against. So color-wise, all right, so this is kind of a nice, deep, dark copper type of color. And again, two things. Let's move this thing around in the glass a little bit, help introduce just a little bit of air to it. That always seems to help with a whiskey, especially higher proof whiskeys. And then more importantly, the oily factor. It is very, very oily. With it being cask strength, I don't know if they're doing any chill filtration. I would assume they're probably not. The legs on this are really, really nice and oily. So I like to see that. Usually that translates well to the palate and overall profile. So, all right, let's get into the nose here. Right away, there's this sweet, like mapley note to it. Some nutty characteristics to it. A little bit of like a fresh cornbread there as well. Definitely some sweet, like vanilla, like more of a fresh vanilla bean. Yeah, that maple is really present, like a maple butter, something along those lines. And this is something interesting. I got like a hint of like a chocolate brownie. Yeah, interesting. Not something I always get. There's that chocolate, but it was more specific to like it being like that brownie smell. Really nice spice to it. Some of those dry, dark fruits, a little bit more, not super, super intense like it would be for like a fresh fruit. This is more of a dry, it's a little more muted. Medium oak, not over tannin or anything like that. Some of that caramel note. So yeah, it's a real interesting, the vanillas, the caramel, that chocolate brownie, that maple. So some really interesting profile so far on the nose. Nice and sweet, but there's still that nice spice that's there as well with some of the oak. So far, really, really enjoy the nose on this one. All right, more importantly, let's see how this one is going to taste. Cheers. So right away, that proof is nice. Lets you know there's a little bit of proof that's there to it. But right away, this strong caramel note to it. Really, really nice wave of like a baking spice there as well. Some nice oak. Yeah, that baking spice and some of that sweetness. So far, the nose is much sweeter right away than the palate. You get hit with more of that oak and that spice right away on the palate versus the nose being a little on the sweeter side. Still some of those caramels right away with the palate part of it, but that transitioned into fairly quickly some more of the oak, some of that baking spice that's there. Creamy caramel that's there as well. Some light honey notes. A little bit of like a graham cracker note there as well. Maybe even a slight, like zestiness to it as well. Not quite orange, probably more of like a lemon zest, so it's not quite as sweet. Still a little bit of that nutty characteristic comes out in it a little bit. Then I also picked up a bit of like a green apple type of note. So it's kind of like almost a little bit on that sour, like a sour green apple, not in a super off-putting way. You just start to get a little bit more of that green apple that's there. So there's some tartness, I would say, to it. So a very interesting, a lot of different like waves of flavors. You've had anything from, you know, the sweetness to the tartness to the oak, some of that spice that's there. So a very different profile. I would say for this one, if you're a fan of what Barrell does, and I think each one of their batches are always different, which is something that I appreciate with them, is that they're not trying to be the same. They're always trying to do something different. So that's one thing I always look for in Barrell, is what do they have coming next? So it's always a different profile. So when you want something a little bit different or are into a company who does things different, you know, give Barrell a try. I think you'll really enjoy what it is that they do and kind of appreciate what it is that they do. So going back to the whiskey, as we get into the finish part of it, it does kind of start to dry out ever so slightly. So it does start to leave a little bit more of that oak, the baking spice that's there. There's still a little bit of that zestiness that's there as well. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really, really nice, well put together bourbon. Late you start to get on top of all the like the oak and the spice. There is some of that lingering caramel sweetness that's there as well. So it's not going to be overly spicy and heavy on the oak. There's definitely some underlying sweetness that's there as well that I think allows this to be more of a well-balanced you know, bourbon. So it leaves you with some of those just different kind of just like when you're looking for a bourbon that has different layers, this is giving that to you. So the finish starts to become fairly long because it transitions into a lot of these different things on your palate, which is something I really appreciate in a bourbon. So definitely give Barrell a look. They're always doing different things. Again, this is specifically batch number 23. So with that being said, so thank you so much for tuning into another one of my reviews. Wanted to kind of come outside and take advantage of the great weather we have here in this early spring in Wisconsin. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my reviews. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. Also follow me on Instagram, Twitter. I'll also have a Facebook page, so check me out there. So with that being said, again, thank you so much for tuning in. And like I say, it's about the journey,